we don't turn it around from candidates turning us into spectators fueled by corporate and other special interest money, we will continue to see our country run into the ground, and we may as well be cursed by our descendants.
Very well said. There's so much money, and if you've been just looking into politics in the elections, there's so many lies and so much manipulation, and they never come true with any candidate, with what they say and what they implement. It's the same policy just being implemented over and over again. I was wondering, since Trump is such an oddity compared to all these other elections, what do you think of Donald Trump?
Well, he's shaking up the system, which is good, because some things will fall out well, some things may not, but otherwise, they were going to anoint another Bush with a right-wing vice president, beholden, both of them, to Wall Street and the corporate state. However, people are talking so much about Trump. Why don't they talk as much about Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders is getting bigger crowds around the country than Trump, and he doesn't have a vanguard to hustle up the crowds the way Trump does. And he is reflecting majority opinion. When he calls for full Medicare with free choice of doctor in the hospital, that's a more efficient, humane system. That's majority supported. He calls for a higher minimum wage that's inflation gutted. Tens of millions of people support that, whether they're conservative or liberal. He calls for cutting down on the war budget. A lot of people think that money should rebuild and repair America. He's calling for a big public works program. He's calling for control of skyrocketing drug prices, changing the corporate tax system. And he's getting huge audiences. So let's get more questions about Bernie Sanders and fewer questions about Donald Trump.
Yeah. It is very interesting, because I was going to ask you, what do you think about Bernie Sanders next, but you pretty much just answered that question. It is interesting to see these two kind of outsiders kind of do make a big wave. You see Donald Trump saying, I'm not going to take any money. You see Bernie Sanders saying something that a politician would never say 4 years ago. Do you think this is a changing political landscape that we're all, seeing right now with these two kind of outsiders kind of front-running everything?
It is certainly a change from recent presidential elections. Bernie is raising many millions of dollars in small denominations. He doesn't go to these fancy Wall Street fundraisers the way Obama and Hillary Clinton have done. And of course, Trump is going to be self-funded, or at least he says that. But Trump is a political outsider, but he's a corporate insider. Mm-hmm. So remember, he takes corporate welfare. He uses the bankruptcy laws to avoid paying his creditors. He's saying some critical things of hedge funds, which are good, critical things of Wall Street fat cats padding their own executive compensation, and he's saying some good things about, inadvertently, about why do you think we pay these politicians all this money? Pause. Well, it's because they do exactly what we want. So those are useful affirmations of what we've been saying over a long period of time, but it comes from a guy, who grew up in the corporate world. But he's got a long way to go to inform himself about foreign and military policy. He has said some things about tax reform, but by and large, the person who represents the popular will today is a longtime senator, representative, former mayor of Burlington, Vermont, Bernie Sanders.